Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Enlightening Your Way. I am your host, Nancy Lombardo. We are airing live on blogtalkradio.com, Lilydale Radio, and of course here on the Lilydale Assembly's official Facebook page. I am a full-time resident here at Lilydale, New York. I'm also a spiritualist and interfaith minister and healer. I am the president of the Church of Living Spirit, which is an independent spiritualist church here in Lilydale. I'm also a military veteran and retired police detective with a combined 32 years law enforcement. I'm a group fitness instructor and yoga instructor, and wellness is my passion. My show is a combination of many of my life experiences that will feature various topics and guests to help enrich one's mind, body, and soul on your pathway to healthy living. This show will also air on my Facebook page, Wellness with Nancy Lombardo, where my motto is protecting and serving your well-being. And boy, do we have a special guest tonight. I'm pleased to introduce Emmy Chetkin. Emmy is a full-time Lilydale resident and a founding member of the Church of the Living Spirit. Emmy is an ordained minister from the Church of Wisdom at Delphi, Georgia, where she studied many years with Patricia Hayes. Emmy calls herself a student of life and loves the aha moments we are blessed with. Emmy believes we never stop learning and is eager to see what is to come on the path that never ends. So I love this. It is now my pleasure to introduce and have Emmy. Good evening, Emmy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for asking me. I am really excited to be here. And, you know, it's funny you said that. I know I wrote that years ago about the aha moments, but my daughter today said, Mama, you know, the aha moment. I said, what are you talking about? What aha moment? Like a special aha moment. Because I was saying I should talk about that a little bit. And she said, yeah, you were talking about it the other day, the aha moments. The aha moments are so important. They give you big breakthroughs. They might not be big themselves when you first announce them, or they come flying out of your mouth and you don't know where they came from. But when you begin to study them, and sometimes it takes a long time, you could be working on a phrase for a year or longer. I can tell you that. Just little simple phrases, but that's what we are. We're simple people, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Well, let's start for people that don't know you or who might be listening to you for the very first time. At the very beginning, like the song Sound of Music, I know you are generational, so to say, if you'd like to say that. Tell me how you found your way here to Lilydale and your family here.
Oh, well, yeah, I could tell you that. I lived down in Fredonia, which is only a short distance from here. And they do know that we're broadcasting from Lilydale, correct?
Yes, on Lilydale Blog Radio, yes.
So it's the world's oldest, we are the longest spiritualist church in Western New York, and now we have, I believe, over 500 members. Now, spiritualism, though, began long before my little group and I came along, and we decided to do a church of our own. So those aha moments, they come, and from them comes growth. It's just an aha moment. But it can be small. It can be small, appear small. It's like a seed. Look how small a seed is. And then what does it become? A giant oak tree. We had a bunch of them falling down yesterday. That wasn't so great. But we had a horrible.
It was your great aunt that was here originally?
Yeah. My great aunt came up here first. And my grandmother.
Where? Was she from Fredonia also?
No, they're all from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And she came up here first and knew Lilydale, and she helped them get the library started, she and her husband, wonderful people. And my grandmother married into that family. And of course, she had been doing readings and healings and creating phenomena from the time she was a little girl.
What year would that have been? Would that have been when any of this is becoming popular?
Oh, it's in the beginning of Lilydale.
The very beginning of Lilydale. So about 140 years ago, you're talking?
Mm-hmm.
And that's incredible. And did she move right into Lilydale?
My grandmother?
Yes.
No, she stayed in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But she would started to come up here, and she would work. You know, she would teach classes or do demonstrations, and little by little, she wanted to be closer to Lilydale, so she purchased a house in in Fredonia, where I go to the dentist now. So funny to go in that house and realize that this is where my grandmother did all her work. And then she would come over here in the summertime, because as you know, Lilydale's only open in the summer.
Well, we're open year round, but we have our stuff.
Yeah, I would have I would have said that. We're open all the time, but the classes and the teaching takes place mainly, I would say, in the summer. Though now the churches do the teachings, but in the beginning there weren't that many people teaching as there is today. There's a lot.
I'm sure.
There's a lot. So anyway, she came up here and she had the house in Fredonia, and then she built a cottage over here, and she would stay for maybe 6 weeks, not too long. But then as she got more and more popular, she would travel, all the time. And, I do want to say this. My grandmother was a spiritualist, and so many people, spiritualism, ooh, that's weird, and that's, how it's not, it's spooky, but it isn't spooky. And we all went to Catholic school. We were all very Catholic, Sicilians. And the nuns, I noticed, even when I was kindergarten, first grade, how much the nuns loved my grandmother. And she loved ice cream, my grandmother. So once in a while, she would come into the school and get me and take me over to Westfield to a place that had great sundaes. And the nuns loved it. But I have always heard, as I got older, that they had a hard time being a spiritualist. I never had a hard time. It was obvious to me at 7 years old that these nuns loved my grandmother, and they thought that she was a wonderful woman. And in fact, one day, I don't know, she had to teach something in class, I don't know what it was, and she said to me, Emmeline, she said, your grandmother is a saint. She said, you're a lucky girl, and she's doing a lot of good and helping a lot of people, so don't worry about that.
I love that.
Yeah, I thought it was nice too, because, but I thought my grandmother was great no matter what. So,
when do you feel like you transitioned from Catholic to spiritualism?
Oh, I know exactly when. You want me to tell you?
Yeah, sure.
When I grew up and got married, my husband, we lived in Key West, and I dabbled. I was like a dilettante in spiritualism. Oh, let's do a regression. Oh, let's do this. Just silly, we weren't very serious about it. I am now, but I wasn't very serious about it. And so I said to my friends, hey, this is in Key West. I said, there's a regressionist in town. Why don't we go get a regression? That would be fun, So everybody, I said, make your appointments. And then I held little classes in my house once a week. And I said, and then next time we meet, we'll discuss what happened. So I go on time for my session, my appointment, and trying to get the straight. So I sit down in the chair. The woman was very nice. I will say that. She was very nice. And I sit down in the chair across from her. And the minute I sat in the chair, I was like gone. I knew that I was in Amsterdam. And I knew that I wasn't very healthy. I got a lot of pneumonia, and I knew that that's how I was going to die, and just many, many things that just, you get downloaded, and you just know all these things. And so the woman says to me, Amsterdam, and if you're ever doing a regression, don't butt in when the person feeling the regression is giving you information. because she shouldn't have stopped me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
She said, oh, you're in Amsterdam. She said, well, where do you go to church? And I said, no, I don't go to church. She says, yes, you must be a Calvinist. I said, I'm not a Calvinist. And I said, I'm not a Calvinist. And she said, look, I want you to walk to the church, and when you get there, you tell me what it says on the door, and you'll see that you are a Calvinist. So I, like in my mind, begin to walk to the church, and all of a sudden, I was there, and I said to her, I don't go to church. And in fact, I hid my face. And she said, of course you go to church. I said, I do not. She said, I am not a Calvinist. And then I said, I am Jewish. And this woman says to me, that's impossible. There are no Jews in Amsterdam. And out of deep within myself, I don't even know where it came from. And I said, Spinoza is here.
Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't know who Spinoza was. I thought it was probably a piano. It just came out of me. And then I said it a little bit louder. Spinoza is here. And right then my grandmother came, and she literally took my hand like this, my wrist, and took me out and downstairs. And I don't know how I got home, but I did in the car. And when I came in the house, this is before computers and all that sort of thing. And I told my husband, don't bother me for a while. I have to check something out. And when I got into the computer, I saw that I was a friend of Spinoza. I recognized everything about him. And there was a bunch of us, a big group that followed him. So when that happened, you asked me, well, how did you get interested in spiritualism?
Yes.
It wasn't enough that my grandmother was a very popular spiritualist minister, and no, I had to get it from Spinoza.
For those people that do not know who Spinoza is, can you say that?
Oh, of course. Yeah. You want me to? Yeah. I'm not going to elaborate too much, but Spinoza lived in the mid 1600s, and he was, he ground the glass for glass making, but he also had his own way of thinking about religion, and the Jewish community he belonged to wanted him gone. They didn't want him to preach that sort of freedom any longer. And so he did. He left, and that's when everyone started to follow him. And Spinoza preached what is called the immanence of God, preaching that God is the everywhere present, impersonal power, manifesting, everywhere present. That's the one I like you to remember. Everywhere present, manifesting as life, through life.
Yes.
In and of itself conceived. In and of itself. You see, there's no gender there. Itself.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at that. No gender back then.
Yeah. And really, but I think that that's one of the things that spiritualism needs to do more, is teach the philosophy of the religion, because it's really, really beautiful. And it's also interesting to note that 100 years before Spinoza, there was a Dominican monk, and his name was Bruno Giordano, and he too preached the immanence of God, and he got burned at the stake for that. So anyway, that was my introduction to a serious spiritualism. No longer was it, I love my grandmother, she's great, she comes to school and takes me out for ice cream. No, I was serious now. I had to find out more.
And so obviously, hearing that and your grandma taking your hand, I mean, your grandma knew you had gifts, I think.
Oh, definitely. You kidding? But I was afraid, to tell you the truth. So as time went on, she said that she would teach me. All this is coming from the spirit world. She tells one of my daughters, tell your mother that I will teach her if she'd like to, practice and become, she could help a lot of people. I never wanted to do that. I liked the philosophy, and I was instrumental in helping a group begin a church here in Lilydale. But I was always afraid. I know it's ridiculous for the granddaughter of a medium, especially a medium like my grandmother, to be afraid, but I've always been afraid of, she came one time right in this house next door. And I said, I'm so sorry that I'm afraid. I can't.
You mean she came after she passed, or this?
Oh, of course, it's all after she passed. Yeah. For the audience, you have to be careful, Millerdale, what you're talking about, because yes, she was already in the spirit world, and so she told my daughter, I can help your mother, and she would be able to do a lot of good. Well, I didn't really want to do that. I just wanted to stay with the philosophy, and I liked that, and I loved meditation, and I liked helping people, but I didn't want to do readings. You know what readings? So I didn't necessarily want to do that part of it. Not that it isn't useful.
But you can. I know you can. I don't see you do that too often, but I know you can.
Well, anyway, it was it helps a lot of people. So I'm certainly not.
Do you think your grandmother knew that you would eventually move here permanently?
I know she did. I know she did. If I I'm older now, so sometimes I can't remember. One night in Key West, I'm sleeping and I'm dreaming, and I found myself flying over those 2 parks in Fredonia.
Okay.
And I said to my husband, "Oh, we're moving to Lilydale." He said, "Why?" I said, "I just had a dream." Why would I dream about that? And so we did. But I have to also tell you, my mother and father already lived here. So I would be up here every summer to visit.
In Fredonia?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just your grandmother here. Your parents didn't live here, right?
After my father retired, they did. But in the beginning, it was only my grandmother.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
And my great aunt.
What did your husband say? You had a beautiful.
Oh, I have a wonderful story for you. So when he first met me, he had a carpet store in Key West, and I wanted him to see where I came from. And so as he listened to me tell him, he said, "Oh, I can't believe anybody as intelligent as you would believe that."
That's funny.
Yeah. So I took him to the audience. I said, "Come on, I want to walk you around and show you Lilydale and where I played as a child and what I did." And so we're out walking. I can still remember it was about dusk. And I don't know how many of your listeners know that in Lilydale we have classes and lectures and things, especially in the summertime. So we're walking and I'm telling him, here's where I went swimming, here's where I did this, here's where I did that. And the auditorium is all lit up and is full of people. I think there was a medium from Scotland working. He said, "What's going on over there?" Well, I knew what it was, but I didn't want to go over there. He said, "Why don't we go over there?" I said, "No, I don't want to go over there." I said, "Come on, let's go over here. I want to show you something else." And then he kept saying, "But that looks like it's nice." He said, "And it's only $1." This is about 40 some years ago. And I didn't want to go, but he insisted. So we walked over there, and as we're walking across the back of the auditorium to our seats, I'm praying, "Please, God, do not let this medium call on my husband. I'm so afraid that he'll laugh," and you know what I mean?
Right.
So he's marching along. He's going to see what this is all about. So we go in. He didn't even get to put his self into the chair. And the medium who was working said, "You, sir."
Oh, no.
I know. I'm telling you, I said, "Oh, no, here we go. It's going to be embarrassing. I'll be embarrassed. My family will be embarrassed." Because I thought he would laugh about it, you know. And he said, "Yes," very hesitant. She said, "I have your father here." Now, I didn't know this woman from Adam. I hadn't been back to Lilydale for years. And he says, I want to get it right. "I have your father here." And he said, "Well, I guess it's possible," he said finally, you know. And She said, of course it's possible. She said, he sold shoes for a living. She said, he's filled this entire auditorium with shoes. She said, I can't even see through the shoes.
Did he sell shoes?
Yes.
Oh.
So, and she said to him, and that's a mighty fine pair of shoes you're wearing now. So I said, she stopped, and I said, do you want to leave now? To my husband, do you want to leave now? He said, are you kidding? This is great. I'm staying. So we stayed. And there's these stories. There's so many of them. So
you remember what medium it was?
Huh?
You remember the name
it
of it?
It was someone from Anne Gaiman knew when she was here.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anyone who lived here. It was a medium from Scotland. And I think her name was Grace.
So did Chet become a believer right then and there?
Right then and there. So then it's time to leave the auditorium. Everyone's piling out and leaving. And he said to me when we went out the door, where's the bookstore? I thought, oh, here we go. He wants to study. So I showed him where the bookstore was. And that's when he decided that it wasn't so crazy after all. And he became a better meditator than me. I'm very, like I said, a bit of a dilettante, but.
Hello, I think you told me a story when you were in meditation for a week. So I could never do that. Tell me, go ahead. You did that.
I did not. I was 11 hours a day for a week.
11 hours a day for a week? I don't think I could do that.
Yes, you can. You can. You can.
That's a lot. So after that, did you build your house then before you moved in?
Well, then I knew I had to live here. Yeah. So we built a house.
Everybody that doesn't know what house you have, and everybody always comments on your house because you have glass garage doors. The most unusual thing, and it always catches everybody's attention here in Lilydale because it's beautiful. Your house is gorgeous. You're backed up to those beautiful woods behind you.
Yeah, you want to be in those woods in a windstorm?
Yeah, not last night. No. And you're right next to your grandmother's house.
Yeah.
It's just so special.
And I'm so happy because I got to spend the last, they were getting older and I was able to spend their last 20 years.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Right next door.
And now your daughter lives next door to you. So
I've got children all over Lilydale.
So I want to tell the story about, you said your grandmother was so special in so many different ways of mediumship and any other way, but a way that a phenomenon, the physical mediumship. And I'd love you to tell the story of how your grandma did physical mediumship, because it's a little, I don't know how to say, because people now think that it has to be done in the cloak of darkness and that it has to be done in dark rooms and in closets and in spaces. But that is absolutely not the fact at all, is it?
No, you don't have to do it in the dark at all. This is a trumpet, and a lot of mediums, since time began, use a trumpet, and they would lay it on the table and they would sing songs, fun songs. And I mean, I've even gone into trance just singing some songs and saw nice things. So that's what she did. And then the trumpet would float and go to a certain person, and the voice would come through the trumpet to you.
Well, it would levitate off whatever.
Yes. Oh, yeah, with no, yes, it levitated. That's what she did. She did other things.
You had a picture. Did they come and do an article on that? Is that what that was that you showed me earlier? Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah, but this one is in the dark. But and then she traveled all the time, and she also, my grandmother did something. She did the trumpet in the daylight.
And you said, did you say you saw that one time?
I never saw it. I was too busy down the beach. And my mother had asked, she didn't want me to do this. I don't know why. And I guess she thought that, I don't know, I'd get too caught up in it or whatever. I don't know what she thought. I really don't. But
would they do that like in a circle? Would there be like a circle of people?
Yes, there'd be a circle of people, and you'd maybe meditate for just a short time, maybe 5 minutes, and maybe sing, and then the medium would go into trance. You can see in the picture where she's, see her? You go into trance and the trumpet would levitate, yes.
Yes. With no trickery.
No, of course, you don't need, that's ridiculous.
I know that, but you know,
I think of the effort it would take to do trickery.
But you know some of the things that has gone on.
Yeah.
So it is possible. It is a phenomenon, and your grandma actually did it.
Yeah, she did.
Without any problem, it sounds like.
She always did it from the time that she was little. And I'm trying to think what I should tell you next.
How about we talk about what made you, when you were here in Lilydale, decide that you thought you wanted to form a church?
Well, I just had my own ideas, and I wanted to have a group that would enjoy my ideas and enjoy learning with me. And I had already told you, like before I met Spinoza, that I had a group coming to my house, and then that group got bigger, and we had to move to somebody else's house that was bigger, and it kept getting bigger and bigger. And it was just a great time. But I know how it happened. I was in Key West, and a friend of mine, she was a massage therapist, and she was working on someone, and they were talking, and I wasn't coming to her or anything. And I heard her say, the friend say, I just wish we had someone that would teach us. And I ran over and I said, Christine, I'll teach you. She said, you would? And I said, yes, come on. And so she told the woman, and the woman was very excited. So I started that group. And then it made me realize I could start a church, that people would like it.
Well, yes, you're so, you have so much information behind you. I mean, you know so much, and you're always searching. It's like you said, you're always asking questions.
Always.
You're an avid reader. You can't read enough. I think you've read so much, and you're always questioning. And I think that's
I'm always questioning. I told you about Spinoza, and I wanted you to know that. Did you hear that one line? Everywhere present. Yes. Spirit is everywhere present. Spirit is never hampered or you can't put spirit in a box. You follow me? So spirit is everywhere present. So you can't say to the person, I can't get a hold of your father now because he's studying somewhere. When I hear that, I just think, oh, it just really, let me tell you, your father is everywhere present. Everywhere present.
Yeah, I love that. For people that think that they can't contact or talk.
Yeah, this is a spirit. This is spirit. And how much time do we have?
Well, keep going. You got
time. I want to explain another thing to you. This is the problem that I have. If I stop talking.
But that's kind of unusual for Emmy to stop talking too.
Yeah, I'll think of it. So spirit is everywhere present. And, I know what it is. It's, you all are familiar with the book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, correct?
Remember, we gave it to our new ministerial students. We liked it so much.
Yes.
Love that book.
Well, I want to tell you, I'm looking for that thing that I want to use. In Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Jonathan has a teacher named Chang, and Jonathan is by now flying higher and higher and higher, and he can go to amazing heights and then skydive down, and he's just amazing. And he says to his teacher Chang, he says, oh, this is so wonderful, so exhilarating. He said, it must be heaven. And Chang says, there is no place called heaven. Now that sounds horrific, but there is no place called heaven because it's all heaven. We are all living, breathing, having our being within the mind of God. Nothing is outside of God. Nothing. Nothing. So that you're all having your being within the mind of God. And that's very important for people to know.
It's profound. It's very profound.
It is profound. And that's why I say that, and the Dominican monk preached the immanence of God, and Spinoza. That was so funny when my grandmother did that. When she came and and they said, you can feel spirit. They can, I felt spirit many times, like physically. So anyway, spirit is always there. And the reason I say that there is no place called heaven, which sounds horrible to people, but it's not. It's not horrible. There is no place. Place implies dimension and all that. This is all coming from your mind. Everything is coming from your mind. Everything.
I guess that goes into, I was telling you about you didn't even know the title I had for this, about everywhere, everything simultaneously, because you talk about that and us being in multiple places all.
I'm glad you listened.
I always heard that. Always fascinated me because you're like you what would you like to explain that? Because you do say that about us being in multiple places at the same time.
Here, I'll show you one of my favorites, because I told you I was raised very, very Catholic. And I will tell you that the priests loved my grandmother, and the nuns did too. They were so cute, the nuns down the road here. They'd say, "Mrs. O'Hara is here. Get in line, get in line." And I could see they didn't think she was something evil. They said she was great. Anyway, this is Padre Pio. You must have heard of him.
Yes.
Because it's very recent. I mean, I don't think he died in 1960. Yeah, 68. And he was often seen two places, preaching in this village and preaching in that village. People can do that. But you know what it takes? That's why I say I'm a dilettante. You'd have to spend your entire life, and we really should, because the prize is worth the time that you spend, but it's a beautiful thing. But you have to, you've got to not be serious. Oh, I'll tell you, one time I used to be very serious about it, because I was going to learn everything I could, blah, 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 blah. But one night or day, I think I had just gone into the bedroom, I'm not sure. And all of a sudden, my grandmother's there, and you can feel who's in a room. You would know who. Okay, and she's flicking this lighter underneath my chin. And I thought, now what is she doing? I don't think she wants me to start smoking, So why is she doing that? All of a sudden, I started laughing. She was saying, "Emmeline, lighten up," because I was just driving myself to read every book and attend every lecture and blah, 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 blah. She said, "Lighten up." And that's how spirit speaks to us, through like charades.
And symbolisms, sure.
Like that.
That was perfect. That was a perfect message. And for you to hear that too. I like that a lot.
I just now noticed in the mirror there. Can these people see that?
No, I don't see anything.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. So I wanted to touch base, and I know you said I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but we're going to talk about it a little bit, because during COVID and the pandemic and, the church, we had to figure out all this new stuff. Well, somehow, some way you got sick. You were sick for a bit.
Oh, very sick.
You were very sick. You scared me. Came over there.
How do you think my daughter's scared too?
And you even wrote about that. You believe I believe you had a near-death experience for sure. Can you explain what that was like?
Yes. Oh, this is where I learned that spirits don't hang around in libraries, if they're serious about what they're doing. So I didn't have the shot. That's true, I didn't. And I knew that I had to go get tested because it didn't feel bad. I just felt so tired. So I said to one of my daughters, we have to go to the doctor. I have to get tested. So I was tested and I tested positive. Well, he said, your mother has to go right into the hospital. This is very aggressive and it's going to move quickly. Now, at that moment, I didn't feel that it was so aggressive. I thought I was fine. But I love this doctor, so I went and got chest x-rays and this and that. He did just the whole gamut. And he said now to my daughter, he said, your mother has got to stay here in the hospital. And she said, well, why can't I just go to her house and stay there with her? Long pause. And the doctor says, are you going to monitor her oxygen? Are you going to stay with her 24/7? Are you going to feed her everything? My daughter said yes. So I had to wait while they did a couple more tests, and he said that, I already could tell that it was moving quick. I don't know how that was, but it was. And so he said, go home, but I'll give you a little bottle of oxygen. It wasn't so little, and it was heavy as could be.
Yeah.
And so here in the house, my daughter said, Mama, please sit here on this bench while I take the oxygen upstairs because I can't maneuver it. It's too heavy. And I said, well, I'll sit here. What do you think I'm going to do? Run away? I can barely even move. So I don't remember her even taking 2 steps away from me. And here's what you're asking me about. All of a sudden, there was nothing except this blue, beautiful, beautiful liquid around my feet. And I was moving, away and away and further, not in a scary, fast way, just smoothly and quietly. And the further away I moved, I became a dot. I just was a dot. That's what I was, and nothing more than a dot. And I wasn't having visions like sometimes in fact, one time I did have that dot thing, but I had a big vision attached to it. But there was no vision. It was just me moving, and I was only a dot. And no, I don't want to, my daughter doesn't like me to talk about it because it was so scary, who. And, but I did. I didn't lose consciousness or faint, but I turned blue and black and funny and blotchy and purple. I didn't see anybody. I wasn't having any thoughts. But if I had to say anything, I was so still. I couldn't have been more still. And it was a beautiful experience. But I didn't see any people, no other. And you see, it's hard to talk about these kind of things because they just go from one thing to another. I did mention this to people that I trusted, and they said, you died just for those few seconds. I figured that I had also. I kind of thought that was it. But I'll tell you about the other time I became,
Do you think you know why you came back?
No, it wasn't my time. It's sort of like those stamped on the meat.
Right.
Expires on such and such a day. No, the time to live and a time to die. You go when it's your time. That's it.
I firmly believe that. Firmly. Yeah.
But so many of my friends felt so sorry for me. Oh, Emmy, if only you had taken the shot. Oh my goodness, that was terrible. That's terrible. I never felt that it was terrible. It was beautiful. I've never been that calm. I mean, it's hard to explain to you.
You weren't afraid.
Huh?
You weren't afraid.
Oh, no. Oh, that time I was not afraid. Nothing could have scared me.
Right, right. And I think that's part of what makes it beautiful, the whole experience.
Yeah.
And I think it was such a learning experience for you to bring back to us to teach again, because that's what you are in life. You're a teacher. You're a teacher for us of spiritualism and all things life. So I love
Well, life is a teacher of wisdom, so live it.
right, right. Well, is there anything else you think you'd like to share? But
I mean, you know very well I could go on for hours.
you could. All I could say is I'm so glad that it wasn't your time, and I'm glad you're here with us. You know, me and you have hit it off since day one, both Sicilians. You know, we love to cook. There was just something about you, even the first time I saw you at the church, you know, when you were chairing, and the very first time I walked into the Church of Living Spirit, I just had a connection with you. And, you know, you're like the mother I never had, that's not here anymore. And, you know, I love you, and I so appreciate everything you've done for us here in Lilydale, everything you've done for spiritualism, and everything you're going to continue to do. And I know that when you're here in Lilydale, you always tell people, especially in season, if they're walking by your house and you happen to be outside, you're more than willing to sit there and have a conversation with anybody.
Because I want to share so many things, and there's so many misconceptions. I want them to know that it's a beautiful religion, and you are a spirit, and you live in the mind of God. You're never going to be lost. That's another. They say that soul is lost. Oh, that soul is dark. No, that's impossible. This soul is a spirit, and nothing can take away, not on this earth or on some other planet, nothing can take that person out of the light and the love that they truly are. You know, and in fact, I heard that so many times. People would say, oh, he's dark soul, Emmy. Oh, I said, that can't be. That's not true. Everybody is a spirit. And then I stumbled on Cora Richmond.
Another one of your favorites. Yep.
One of my favorites. I said, thank you, Cora.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Emmy, thank you. It's been lovely talking to you. I knew it would be. Time goes by so fast. I appreciate you joining us here this evening. We'll be back again in 2 weeks for Enlightening Your Way, where my goal is to help enrich your mind, body, and spirit on your pathway to healthy living. Please also come back and visit our Lilydale Assembly Facebook page for everything going on in Lilydale. I post some pictures. I hope you enjoy them to help you feel like you are part of our home here in Lilydale. Please like my page, Wellness with Nancy Lombardo, and my website, wellnesswithnancy.lombardo.com. For Emmy Chetkin, my name is Nancy Lombardo. I'm protecting and serving your well-being. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening, and good evening.
I hope to come back.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you.